Caldwell is a man who suffered through bullying as a child, and he decided to do something about it. He's written a great book called Full Throttle with Trish McLean, with Paul Little, and it's the real story of life, business, and partnerships in the fast lane, because he went on from being bullied to school to becoming a bit of a business magnate, running pizza stores, and now he's been involved. He's a corporate ambassador of the Angels Goal. How you going, John?
Good. Thanks for having me on the program today.
Now let's talk about the book. So, why did you decide to write this book?
The book was it was a bit of a side project, and it wasn't initially to do with bullying. It was actually more we've recently franchised our business, and it was really to promote our business.
Yeah, right.
However, talking about my backstory, Angels Goal picked up a copy of it and really discovered that while bullying can happen in different forms, social, school, at home, they said that I was the first case they'd seen that had happened in all forms of that. And so the book really has now more taken on a life of the anti-bullying organisation and that
right.
sort of thing.
And Angels Goal, what is that? What actually is it?
So Angels Goal is a charity. Reuben Cunningham and his daughter Chloe Cunningham started Angels Goal. Chloe was very badly bullied at school, and probably one of the worst cases I've heard of. And it affected them so badly that Reuben and Chloe decided to start the organisation to really raise awareness about anti-bullying. Because there are a lot of organisations that touch on it or incorporate it into their other things, but there wasn't at that stage a standalone anti-bullying organisation. So good to them. They founded it, and they're getting the message out there.
Yeah, because you think of bullying at school, but it also happens in the workplace too, doesn't it?
Definitely, and it's interestingly enough, the workplace bullying is on the rise. It's not getting any better; it's actually getting worse.
Why do you think bullying occurs?
I think ultimately there's an insecurity in people. I think that's where bullying really occurs. Education is a large part of it. So we need to, and one of the things Angels Goal is really working on is promoting awareness. We've got a schools program we're trying to roll out, because getting that education out there at school level will help in later in life as well.
So what happened to you at school? Like, tell us. So it was just you were just bullied?
I was bullied quite badly at school. I came from a very poor family, and probably my parents were a little ignorant. So they were the parents who thought that it was more important to drink at the pub than buy the kiddie uniform. So there were certainly schools where I was the only kid without a uniform, never had the right textbooks or the right books to do the classes.
That is often, when I think of the kids at my school that were bullied, it is often the kids that were from the poorer families.
Yeah, I think there's
stigma,
two sides to that. I think it's the poor side of it, but I also think maybe the home education isn't there for that child, so they don't develop the social skills. They don't know how to interact at school, because at home you shut up and you go to your bedroom and that's what you do. So developing those social skills at home is important as well, so when you go to school you have a bit of confidence. But obviously I was bullied for a whole nother reasons. I was extremely skinny. The kids at school seemed to know that I was gay before I knew I was gay, so so it just compiled, and there were so many different reasons, but it was completely unbearable. And I do say in my book, through what I went through at home, my parents were drunks, they were violent. When I was 11, my dad committed suicide while I was there. That was all absolutely dreadful, but didn't even come close to the bullying at school and how that made me feel.
Really?
Yeah. I think at home you could hide under the bed or you could hide out the back of the house. At school you were front and centre, you were a target. And I openly say that throughout everything I went through in my life, the only time I ever thought I had to end it was over the school bullying, not because of anything else happening.
What did the teachers do? I mean, I know it's hard for teachers. Did they intervene, or...?
When I was at school, never. There was even a couple of cases where I was getting bullied, and one particular case I was getting bullied, and we both got the cane for it. And there was often cases where I was getting in trouble for being in a fight or something when it was literally I was being preyed upon. These days they do a lot more, and there's a lot more education for teachers, which is something we're pushing as well. And some of the individual schools are pushing amazing programs that are being rolled out nationally as well.
So how did you go from having such a terrible childhood to becoming owning your own pizza shops?
I did pizzas in the first place. I now own recruitment agencies across Australia, New Zealand and the UK. So.
Okay, right. But how did you make that jump? So did you go to university, or what happened? What was your trajectory?
Not at all. Retail is my passion, so I started with pizza. I started making pizzas at Domino's, was my first job. And an organisation like that's awesome because you get to grow through the ranks. They give you amazing training. And I just progressed and then stepped into traditional retail, which was fashion. And then from there, cold, hard work. I started with a laptop and a cardboard box and worked my backside off, and the company's just grown astronomically since then. So,
Yeah, right.
So that's my my note to everyone is hard work and stick with it no matter how hard it seems.
Yeah, right. And I mean, with the bullying, do you think about it a lot these days, or have you sort of, is it always with you? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's definitely always with everyone. There's one thing I say in the book, and I've got some great friends now, and not so long ago I was taken out to a nightclub with a friend who's a trainer, and he's friends with some AFL players. So we were in this club, and I'm surrounded by these AFL players, and suddenly thinking, crap, I'm the uncool kid at school again.
Yeah, the jocks. Yeah,
as they started, slapping me on the back and saying, gee, you're a funny bloke and let me get you a drink, it was almost in disbelief that I could be part of that this group of cool kids could like me. So certainly years later, and no matter how much success I've had, it never ever leaves you. And I think and I know people are probably sick of hearing about it, but the Adam Good situation really brought that home again for me. He said openly, it took me back to a time when I was at school getting bullied and couldn't defend myself. I mean, the success that he's had, and one comment from one child can take him right back there in an instant.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Well, and if anyone is listening and has a child at school that's being bullied, what should they do about that? You reckon?
The sad part is most of their parents don't know, so it's kept aside. The thing I will say to parents is, if you see any signs, get involved with your child, not with the school. Talk to them and encourage them to open up to you. Quite often, and the number one thing I hear from parents is it's just kids being kids, or toughen up in the schoolyard. But the youth suicide rate is getting out of control. Actually, suicide in people under 25 is the largest cause of death, second only to motor vehicle accidents. So it's not just kids being kids, it's getting out of hand. So parents need to get involved, they need to listen to their kids. They don't need to approach the student directly or the other person directly. That will make it worse.
That will often make it worse, yeah.
But quite often just having someone at home to talk to give you the confidence, to tell you that you're okay. One of the things, we're working with some global different anti-bullying organisations, and the two messages that are going globally at the moment is just simply, you are not alone, and it gets better. And that's what people need to hear.
It does get better.
Yeah.
School, but in that age when you're at school, it's the biggest thing in your life, which is just normal. But it's a great thing to remember. It does get better.
I thought so too. And as I said, that I literally thought at school when I was getting bullied, I have to kill myself. There's no other way out of this. And I say to people, it's not your life, it's just the start of your life. And while it haunts you for a long time, and that's to be remembered, it's definitely a very small part of my thought process these days.
Now, you've been overseas working with, meeting with the Trevor Project. What is that? That's an anti-bullying and suicide prevention organisation?
Yeah, it's based in LA, and